think you are all doing fine. Today we are coming with another topic related to atoms, right? Yesterday we have discussed the limitations of Rutherford atom model because according to Rutherford, he said the electrons are revolving around the nucleus in circular orbits, right? And the nucleus is as a center, and electrons are moving in circular orbits, just like the planets moving around the sun. Right? Okay. But he did not say anything about the stability of the atom. So if the electrons move in circular orbits, every circular motion being accelerated, and also when the charges when gets accelerated, it will lose energy in the form of electromagnetic waves. So when charge moves in a circular path, and as the motion is what is called accelerated, it may emit radiations in the form of EM waves, and hence it lose energy, and so the radius goes on decreasing. Hence, we can assume that the electron will move not in a fixed circular path, but due to the loss of energy, its radius goes on decreasing, and hence the electrons will be spiraling. The spiraling electrons in the future will fall into the nucleus. So atoms will go unstable. This condition was not explained by Rutherford. And also in the spiraling process, as due to the continuous loss of energy, the radius goes on decreasing and the angular frequency goes on increasing. As angular frequency goes on rapidly decreasing, angular frequency goes on rapidly increasing due to the loss of energy and also due to the reduction in the value of radius, the energy of a different, that means the radiations of different wavelengths in it must emit. That means the spectrum of the light emitted by an electron must be a continuous spectrum. But experiments reveals that the atomic spectrum is not a continuous spectrum, but is a line spectrum. This was also not explained by Rutherford. Right now, our question is that what is called atomic spectrum? That is today's topic. We are starting with atomic spectrum. You see, when a gas or a solid in the vapor state is taken in a discharge tube like this, at very low pressure and a very high potential difference is applied, it is ensured that the gas must be of very low pressure so that each and every atom is separate inside the gas. So when a very high potential difference is applied, every atom get excited, and in that stage, atoms will emit radiations in the form of electromagnetic waves. These radiations, when studied under a very powerful spectroscope or spectrometer, a spectrum can be seen in the field of view, right? In the spectrum of a gas or a vapor, or a solid in the vapor state, when studied, it is seen that in the field of view, the spectrum obtained has certain lines like this. So this is typically the line spectrum of a hydrogen atom. So hydrogen gas, when taken in a discharge tube like this, and electric current is made to pass through it by applying a very high potential difference. Every atom of hydrogen get excited and it starts emitting radiations. That radiation studied under a powerful spectrometer. Spectrum is seen. That spectrum contains lines like this. There are some discrete when single lines can be seen in the field of view. So this is typically the hydrogen spectrum Balmer series. There are so many series, Balmer series, Lyman series there, Balmer series there, right? And Austin series there, Brackett series there, Pfund series there. There are so many series of line spectrum produced by hydrogen. This is one of those. This is called Balmer series. This was for the first time found by John Balmer in the year of 1885, right? So this is Balmer series. We can see several lines in the spectrum, every line corresponds to a particular wavelength. And also very important thing you have to see is that these lines represent a particular wavelength. And these wavelengths emitted by one particular element that will be different from the line spectrum given by another element. So element to element, the line spectrum will be different. That means the here suppose that this line has a wavelength is equal to 656.3. Suppose in another gas at this particular place, the wavelength will be different. So the wavelength corresponding to each line depends on the nature of the element used in the discharge tube through which electric current is made to pass. Am I correct? This is Balmer series. In this case, a few lines seen. This is 656.3 nanometer. And this line lies in the red region of the electromagnetic spectrum, right? Okay. And when it is going towards other, this is lambda, right? This is wavelength lambda along this line, right? Okay. So this is what's H alpha line of Balmer series of hydrogen spectrum. That value is equal H alpha line, that 656.3 nanometer. And again, when we go in the backward direction, in the decreasing order of wavelength, the other one we see is H beta line of the Balmer series. This lies in the blue region, whose wavelength is equal to 486.1. Every line corresponds to a particular wavelength. And these wavelengths are the characteristic property of the element used in the discharge tube through which electric current is passed. And the other line we see is in the Balmer series is the third line is H gamma line. H gamma line has a value of wavelength is equal to 434.1. And this lies in the violet region of the electromagnetic spectrum. And when the wavelength decreases, you will see the lines get closer together. When the wavelength is actually, it is decreasing along this direction and it is increasing along this direction. It is decreasing. And when it comes to this region, this part, you will see that the wavelength is reduced. That means 434, and here it is 410. The least value of wavelength found in the line spectrum of Balmer series is 364.6. When the wavelength decreases, it is seen that the lines are getting closer together. And also in that region, the intensity of the radiation will be very, very weak. So this is about the line spectrum of hydrogen atom. So every atomic spectrum is a line spectrum. It is not a continuous spectrum. That is why I have taken this topic directly from the Rutherford model. So Rutherford could not explain us the spectrum of a material, the spectrum of a gas is a line spectrum. So he simply said that it is just moving around the nucleus, right? And yeah, when it moves around the nucleus without any condition, that will be a circular motion. The circular motion, as it is accelerated motion, and also when a charge gets accelerated, it loses energy and its radius goes on decreasing, and it goes a spiral, and finally that falls into the nucleus, right? But that does not take place. And also it can be said that as there is a continuous loss of energy, the angular frequency also getting increases, and hence the loss of energy and the radiations emitted must have almost all the wavelengths, and the spectrum must be a continuous spectrum. But experiments that it is not a continuous spectrum. Every gaseous spectrum, gas at low pressure, the gas is in, or the material, the element is in the atomic state at that time when atom is excited. The spectrum, the light emitted by that, and whose spectrum must be a night spectrum. Night spectrum contains discrete lines. Every line corresponds to a particular wavelength. And also Balmer gave us the relation also to find the wavelength of wavelength correspond to each line. Wavelength is given by 1 by lambda is equal to RH into RH 1 by 2. In this case, Balmer series I am speaking now. RH into 1 by 2 square minus 1 by n square, right? Where n is equal to 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. Right? And this in this case, RH is what is called Rydberg constant. Rydberg constant is equal to 1.097 into 10 raised to 7. 1 point RH is equal to RH is still 1.0973 into 10 raised to 7, yeah, per meter. It is. This is called Rydberg constant. And for Rydberg constant is constant for all elements, all kinds of spectra. The value of RH is always a constant. Am I correct? H alpha line, you see, H alpha line corresponds to wavelength 656.3 nanometer, and for which n is equal to 3. N is equal to 3, right? And H beta, the value of wavelength is equal to 486.1 and correspond to N is equal to 4. And also H gamma, that is the value of wavelength for H gamma line is equal to 434.1, corresponding to which the value of N is equal to 5. The shortest wavelength is 364.6. All these things we have seen. When the wavelength decreases, the lines goes closer and closer, and the radiations whose intensity becomes weak and weak. Right? There are so many other spectral lines also seen, and these spectra are named as, one already said, one is called Balmer series, because Balmer series only contains this kind of special lines, H alpha, H beta, H gamma, etc. That is why Balmer series has been explained here. So the first spectra is Lyman series, and next Balmer series, next Bastian, then bracket, and also Pfund series, right? So all these things we can write for Lyman. For Lyman series, we can write 1 by lambda is equal to RH into 1 by 1 square minus 1 by n square. This is the condition, the empirical formula for finding the wavelength corresponding to what is called a Lyman series of hydrogen spectrum, where n is equal to what? Lyman series, n is equal to 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. The other one is Balmer series, that already said, right? Balmer series, first Lyman series, then Balmer series. So this is 1 square, this is 2 square, and the next is what? Constant series. Constant series, 1 by lambda is equal to, again, RH into 1 by 3 square, because after Lyman this is 2 square, and after 3 square minus 1 by n square, where n is equal to n is equal to what's called 4, 5, 6. N is equal to 4, 5, 6. So this first, then next to this 3, 4, 5, 6. Next to this one 3, and now it is 4, 5, 6, etc. Right? Again, bracket series 1 by lambda is equal to R into 1 by 4 square. 1 by 4 square minus 1 by n square, where n is equal to 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, etc. And also last is one Pfund series. Pfund series we can write 1 by lambda is equal to R into 1 by 5 square minus 1 by n square, where n is equal to 6, 7, 8, etc., up to infinity. So these are the things about spectrum. So spectrum is very important. So every element can produce its own spectrum, but that must be kept in the vapor state or the gaseous state. And also it should be ensured that the gas must be at a very low pressure and very high potential difference is applied, and electricity starts flowing through that. This is what is called discharge of electricity through a gas. So at this very high potential, every atom is excited because it is in the gas or vapor is in the atomic state. Why? Because it is ensured that gas is at a very enough low pressure. It is kept at enough low pressure. Then we can just confirm that every atom is separated in the gas. It is at a very low pressure. Every atom is separated. Then the potential difference when applied, every atom gets excited. In the excited state, the atom, every electron goes in transition, and in the process, when it comes from higher energy state to lower energy state by Pauli's exclusion principle, it emits radiation. This radiation spectrum is found to be a line spectrum. We have explained here the line spectral series of hydrogen atom, sorry, hydrogen gas. So different series of spectra we have seen. The first one is Lyman series, and next one is Balmer series. Third one is Marsden series. Fourth is Brackett series, and the last is Stephen series. So every line or every spectrum, the value of lambda can be calculated by using this empirical formula. 1 by lambda is equal to Rs into 1 by 1 square minus n square, or 1 by 2 square minus n square, 1 by 1 square minus n square, like this. For different spectral series, the value of lambda can be calculated using this formula. This was given to us by John Balmer in the year of 1885, right? So this is about spectrum. Next, what we are going to tell is about, because we have seen that according to Rutherford, the atom is not stable. To make it stable, a suggestion was put forward by Neil Bohr, and this was to just make some modifications in the modifications or correcting Rutherford atom model. So he put forward a few points. According to Neil Bohr, electrons revolve around, he also said the same thing. Electrons revolve around the nucleus in circular orbits only. Centripetal force is provided by the electrostatic force between the electrons and the nucleus at the center of the atom, right? So that was given, the same idea was given by Rutherford also. He is also giving the same idea. Electrons, the second point is that electrons can revolve in only those orbits which satisfies the condition that the angular momentum of every electron is equal to in n into h by 2 pi or h by 2 pi. H is a constant. You call it as what is called Planck's constant. The value of Planck's constant also everybody knows. 6.67 10 minus 34 joule second is the value of Planck's constant. Okay. So this is what that means. Electrons, while they are rotating in circular orbits, in every orbit these electrons cannot remain. Electrons can remain in only those orbits that satisfy the condition. Angular momentum, that is angular momentum, is MVRN. MVRN is equal to, let me remove this first. MVRN is equal to n into h by 2 pi. Right? MVRN is equal to n into h by 2. N is always is a whole number. N can be 1, 2, 3, etc., etc. That means the angular momentum of electron can be 1h by 2 pi, 2h by 2 pi, 3h by 2 pi, etc. Not 1.2h by 2 pi or 3.5h by 2. Hence, we can say that electron can remain in those orbits only which satisfy the condition. Angular momentum of each electron must be equal to n into h by 2 pi. Being in those orbits, the energy of each electron is quantized. Angular momentum is already quantized. When angular momentum is quantized, energy is also fixed. And also being these orbits, though the motion is circular, charge is circling, which a charge electron is circling around the nucleus. This is a uniform circular motion. In uniform circular motion, every uniform circular motion is accelerated motion. In accelerated motion, usually a charge when gets accelerated, when moves in a circular path or execute a circular motion, must emit energy in the form of radiation. But being in this orbits, which follow the condition MVRN is n into h by 2 pi, these orbits are having a fixed energy condition. Right? Electron can remain only in permitted energy condition. This is a permitted energy condition. That means in which the angular momentum is n into h by 2 pi. Being in those orbits, the energy of electron is always a constant. And also being in those orbits, it cannot radiate energy. Such orbits are called stable orbits, or sometimes they are also called as stationary orbits. It is stationary orbits, it is called because the energy is fixed. So electron can remain only in energy. Every orbit is an energy condition. So there is a fixed energy condition that orbit which follow the condition MV Rn is equal to N into H by 2 pi. Being in those orbits, the energy of electron is quantized, and also its the angular momentum is also quantized. Being in those orbits, electrons cannot emit radiations, so atom can be said to be stable. So this is the one, right? So next, so in this case, the value of Rn can be calculated. Therefore, Rn is equal to Nh divided by 2 pi into mv. 2 pi into mv. So the value of Rn, that means the nth radius of the nth orbit of electron is calculated. Rn is equal to n into h divided by 2 pi into mv, right? Where v is the velocity or speed of the electron in the orbit. So all these things I said, n is an whole number only. N cannot be a decimal number, just like 1 is 1.2, 3.7, 9.6. No, that is not possible. So that is why they are called fixed orbit, that is stationary orbit. Being in these orbits, the electron's energy is always quantized. Quantized means that the value is only fixed value. This is the permitted energy condition. So electrons can remain only in permitted energy condition said by Niels Bohr. This is a wise idea. So while revolving these orbits, electrons do not radiate energy, though the motion is accelerated. Already I said, right? Okay. Revolving electrons emit radiations only when they jump from an outer orbit of higher energy to an inner orbit of lower energy. Then, then there will be emission of energy can be possible. So being in the stationary orbits, electrons cannot emit radiations. Electron can emit radiations, as said by Niels Bohr. What is that? Electron can emit radiations when an electron jumps from an outer orbit of higher energy into a lower orbit, inner orbit of lower energy. Then the difference in energy is radiated in the form of electromagnetic wave. That I can draw here. Suppose this is an outer orbit, and this is an inner orbit. This is the nucleus, right? This is the N2, and this is N1. Here the energy value is E2, and here the energy value is E1, right? Okay, this is N1, this is N2, right? Second energy condition, this is first energy condition. Second energy condition, the N2, and this is first energy condition, right? N1. So here the energy of this outer orbit is E2, and this is equal to E1. Every orbit is a stationary orbit where electron can remain, where the energy is always fixed. So the second energy condition, energy value is E2, and the first energy condition, first stationary orbit where electron is there, and then energy is equal to E1. When electron jump from the second energy level to the first energy level, difference in energy is equal to E2 minus E1. Difference in energy is equal to what? E2 minus E1. E2 minus E1 is this is what is called E2 minus E1, and this energy is radiated in the form of electromagnetic waves. So this E2 minus E1 is equal to H nu, because electromagnetic radiation has an energy is equal to H nu. As electron jump from an outer orbit of higher energy is in this case E2 to a inner orbit of lower energy. The difference in energy, because in higher orbits, higher orbits means when we go forward from the nucleus, the energy is going on increasing. Here the electron needs less energy to remain in this orbit. When we go outer orbits, the energy levels goes on increasing. Right? Suppose an electron is revolving around this nucleus due to some conditions, it is falling or it is jumping from this higher energy state to lower energy state. Here it needs more energy to remain, but here it does not need that much energy. The difference energy is radiated in the form of electromagnetic wave, right? So being in the stationary orbits, electron cannot radiate any electromagnetic radiation because it cannot lose energy being in the what is called stationary orbit. Stationary orbit is a permitted energy condition where energy is quantized and also angular momentum is also quantized. So being in those orbits, energy will not be lost. So the atoms cannot radiate electromagnetic waves. But in this case, electromagnetic radiations are emitted. So this is the postulate given by Neil Bohr. That was a very wonderful idea, right? So, but only thing is that Neil Bohr said that the angular momentum mvrn is equal n into h by 2 pi. That he was also not able to explain right at the point of time when he said it. Okay? So at the time when he said that the electron can remain only in those orbits that follow the condition mvrn is equal n into h by 2 pi. He simply said that. But the authentic idea, he was not able to establish why this. But in the later stage, after so many years, a scientist called de Broglie proved it. Exactly proved it. It was very true only, right? He proved it. That proof also we will see in the later stage, right? Now we have to see that the expression for radius of Bohr stationary orbits. Radius of Bohr stationary orbits. So you know today what is called stationary orbits. Everybody knows what is stationary orbits. Stationary orbit condition was given by Neil Bohr, right? So according to Neil Bohr, electrons are moving in circular orbits, right? So according to Bohr theory, we can write circular orbits which what provide for the centripetal force, the electrostatic force of attraction between electron and the nucleus provides for the centripetal force. So according to Bohr theory, we can write mvn square. mvn square divided by Rn is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 into Zd into E. Zd into E divided by Rn square. We can write what is Rn? Rn is the radius of the nth stationary orbit. Suppose an electron is moving the nth stationary orbit, then it is always the circular motion only. For any circular motion, but we need a centripetal force. Centripetal force is given by mv square by r. As it is nth stationary orbit, the velocity of the electron in the nth stationary orbit is taken as equal to Vn, and the radius of the nth stationary orbit is taken as equal to Rn. So, but this is what centripetal force is given by or provided by electrostatic force of attraction between electron and protons in the nucleus. The number of charge present in the nucleus is the E, and this is E is electron, and this is the charge of the nucleus. The number of charge present in the nucleus is called atomic number, right? Atomic number means total protons, number of protons. Charge is equal to D, and charge of an electron is equal to E only. Therefore, this can be done, right? So from this expression, we can write therefore mvn square is equal to mvn square is equal to Rn and Rn are cancelled. We will get this is equal to what? Is that E square the whole divided by 4 pi epsilon 0 Rn we are getting, right? So this can be taken as equation number 1. So from this equation we got this one Rn cancel mvn square is equal to Z square divided by 4 epsilon 0 Rn, right? Also by the Bohr postulates we have one more relation. Mvn also mvn Rn is equal to mvn Rn is equal to what? N into h divided by 2 pi. This is equation number 2. Right? This is angular momentum is equal to n into h by 2 pi. Right? Okay. So squaring equation 2 and dividing equation 1 to square this equation, that means m square vn square Rn square is equal to what? N square h square divided by 4 pi square, right? This is squared value of this one. This is now divided. Equation number 1. Equation number 1, when divided means we will divide this as m Vn square, and this is divided by this quantity. This quantity means the this denominator will go up. That is equal to, that is into 4 pi epsilon 0 Rn, the whole divided by Zn is right. So when we divide all these things, then we'll get Rn can be calculated as equal to, Rn is equal to epsilon 0 h square, the whole divided by pi into m into e square, the whole into n square divided by Z you will get. This is a very, very important formula, right? So the value of radius of the nth orbit is calculated. So the simply dividing this one, you will get Rn is equal. What is Rn? Everybody knows that. That is the radius of the nth stationary orbit. The first orbit, second orbit, third orbit. First orbit means the first stationary orbit, right? Stationary orbit has energy is fixed, and also angular momentum is also fixed, quantized, what is called. So Rn can be calculated. From this equation, it is seen that Rn is directly proportional to n square. Epsilon zero is constant, h is a constant, pi m. M means this mass of an electron, charge, everything is a constant. Z is also a constant for a particular atom, right? All right. So then what we can write, Rn is directly proportional to n square also we can write. So if we put the value of epsilon 0, because 1 by, if we take 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 is equal to k, therefore epsilon 0 is equal to 1 by 4 pi k. 1 by 4 pi k we can put, right? In place of epsilon, if we put the value 1 by 4 pi into k, then this relation becomes equal to Rn is equal to h divided h square divided by, because we have put the value of epsilon 0, divided by 4 pi square k into e square, the whole into n square divided by z. So this is the value. What you did? You put the value of epsilon 0, because 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 in electrostatics already studied. If this is taken as a constant k, then epsilon 0 is equal to 1 by 4 pi k. Put the value of epsilon 0 in this case, then you will get Rn is equal to h square divided by 4 pi square k into e square into n square by z we can write. This is also one equation. So from equation, this is equation number 3 you can take, and this is equation number 4 also you can take. All these equations are very important. Number the equation, because so many equations there in this topic, right? Like this. So from this equation we have seen that Rn is directly proportional to n square. It means R1 is to R1 is to R2 is to R3 is equal. 1 square is to 2 square is to 3 square, etc. That is R1 is to R3 is to R3 is equal to 1 is to 4 is to 9, etc. This is also an important result. Am I correct? In the expression, this value, epsilon 0, h square divided by m into e square, pi m into e square. So also we can write the equation for hydrogen specially, then this becomes equal to 1, right? So that also you can write 4 hydrogen atom, Z is equal to 1, because atomic number of hydrogen is equal to 1. So in that case, we write Rn is equal to epsilon 0 h square, the whole divided by pi m e square, the whole into n square. So this is a very important result. Rn is equal to this relation is exclusively for hydrogen atom only. So in this expression, there is a constant, is the epsilon 0 h square divided by pi m e square. This value, the value of this quantity is equal to 0.53 into 10 raised to minus 10, right? This minus 10 meter you will write. So this is the value of this much R. Rn is equal to epsilon 0 h square divided by pi m e square, and the epsilon 0 h square divided by pi m e square is equal to 0.53 into 10 raised to minus 10 meter, right? So Rn is equal to, we can write
Hence, Rn is equal to Rn. That means radius of the nth stationary orbit. Therefore, Rn is equal to 0.53 into 10 raised to minus 10 into n square. So this is a very important relation. This is only for hydrogen, right? When n is equal to 1, Rn is equal to R1. Therefore, R1 is equal to, R1 means the first stationary orbit of hydrogen. R1 is equal to, you will put the value of 1 there. In the place of n, you will put 1. Then we will get 0.53 into 10 raised to minus 10 into 1 square. 1 square is 1 only. This is equal to 0.53 angstrom. Right? Okay. Radius is this one. The first stationary orbit has a radius is equal to 0.53 angstrom. It is very, very important. First stationary orbit of hydrogen atom has its radius is equal to 0.53 angstrom. In the same way, for second orbit, R2 can be given as equal to 0.53 into 10 raised to minus 10 into 2 square, you will write. Then that will be is equal to 2.12 angstrom you will get. So there is a difference between first has a radius is this much and next is this much. That is in between also there are so many energy conditions, but in those energy conditions, electron cannot remain. Because if electrons are there in those energy conditions, then when the electron move in circular orbits, that will emit radiations every time. But being these orbits with value R1 is equal to 0.5 raised to 0.53 angstrom, yeah, 2.12 angstrom, etc. First stationary orbit, second orbit, etc., etc. In these orbits, when electrons remain, they cannot emit energy. That means they are fixed energy conditions, and electrons are stable there in that orbit. Being in these orbits, satisfied the condition R1 is this value, R2 is this value. Similarly, we will put R3 is R3 can be proved as equal to 4.77 angstrom, etc. In being in these orbits, electron cannot emit radiation. Right? That means the atom is completely and absolutely stable. These are the conditions. Now we can talk about velocity of electrons in the stationary orbits. So radius done. This relation is very important. Rn is equal to epsilon 0 h divided by pi m e square into n square by z was there. Z is equal to 1 because the maximum study was done in hydrogen atom only because hydrogen is a special kind of atom. I told you because that has its atomic number 1, right? Atomic number 1 is 1 proton, 1 electron. In normal hydrogen has no neutron. That is why it is a special kind of atom. The study was done with maximum study was done with hydrogen only. So most of the time we will refer hydrogen atom only for these purposes. That is the condition. So stationary orbit, the nth orbit radius is very important formula. Rn is equal to epsilon 0 h square divided by m e square, the whole into n square divided by z. Z when there means for all atoms generally. But Z is removed, Z is equal to 1 put, then that will be specially for hydrogen. Next is velocity. Velocity can be calculated. Velocity of stationary orbits, the velocity of electrons to stationary orbit can be given by, we have that mvn Rn is equal to mvn Rn is equal to n into h by 2. N into h divided by 2 pi. Accordingly as the right? Accordingly as the postulate given by what is Bohr, Neil Bohr. Therefore, Bn is equal to nh divided by nh divided by 2 pi into mRn we can mRn. Am I correct? Okay. That is equal to this is equal to n into h divided by 2 pi m into 1 by r. The value of r and everybody knows, right? That is epsilon 0 h square n square divided by pi m Z E square, right? For any general atom, we can write that. So this is equal to NH divided by 2 pi M into 1 by Rn. 1 by Rn means that when applied, you will get pi M Z E square divided by epsilon 0 H square into N square. So cancelling the like terms, you will get Dn is equal to Z E square, the whole divided by 2 epsilon 0 N. 2 epsilon 0 N. Am I correct? So this is the condition. This cancelling N and N, and also pi and pi, M and M, H and H. All these things cancelled. You will get the value of Vn. What is Vn? Vn is the velocity of electron in the nth stationary orbit. It is denoted by Vn. Vn is equal to Z squared divided by 2 epsilon 0 N. N is the principal quantum number. H is the what is called a Planck's constant. Epsilon 0, even the value of epsilon 0 also taught to you in the first topic electrostatics that was taught to you, right? If epsilon, the value of epsilon 0 is put, epsilon 0 is equal to what? Epsilon 0 is here, epsilon 0 is equal to 1 by 4 pi k. 1 by 4 pi k. Then Pn is equal to 2 pi k Z square, the whole divided by N into X you will get. This is also another relation by putting the value of epsilon 0 is equal to 1 by 4 pi k. Because everybody knows that 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 is equal to constant, that is taken as equal to k, then epsilon 0 is equal to 1 by 4 pi k. Putting the value of epsilon 0 in this relation, you will get this value, right? These are for general atoms. In the case of hydrogen atom, Z becomes equal to 1 because atomic number of hydrogen is equal to 1. Z represents atomic number, right? That's also a very important thing. So for hydrogen, we can write for hydrogen atom, we can write simply V, and only for hydrogen, right? This value with epsilon we can write that is equal to E square divided by 2 into epsilon 0 N. Or this value we can write Vn is equal to what? 2 pi k into E square divided by N into H. So these are the expressions for a general atom and also for hydrogen. So whenever hydrogen comes to take Z is equal to 1. And also it can be shown that in the first orbit of hydrogen atom, the velocity of electron is given by a special formula, that is V is equal to 1 by 137. 1 by 137 into C. 1 by 137 into C. Or the first orbit. Or Vn is equal to nth orbit, it can be given as equal to 1 by 137 into C divided by N. So that N becomes equal to 1, Vn is equal to V1. V1 is equal to 1 by 137 into C, where C is the velocity of electromagnetic radiation. That is equal to 3 into 10 raised to C is equal to 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. So all these things we have studied today. Radius of the nth orbit of electron, electrons revolving the nth orbit we have seen, velocity we have seen, and all these things we have discussed today. It is a very important theory that I taught you today, right? Tomorrow I will come with another topic that is related to frequency of electrons, in various orbits, etc. Right? Till then, bye.